It's the Regular Expressions Podcast. Join Noah Heldman and Ben Griswold as they talk about technology consulting, AI, and more. In episode 27, Ben and Noah talk about the pure joy of being on hold, only to talk to a human who ultimately can't help you. We know the bar is low in customer service, but has the low bar crept into other parts of our work life, and maybe even our life? You be the judge.
Ben, we were talking this morning about how in order to succeed in your career, the bar is pretty low. That's a little bit of a big statement. I mean that some of the basic things that we take for granted in all of the work we do seem not to be represented by a lot of the people out there doing the work at all kinds of levels in all kinds of jobs. What do I mean by the bar is low? I think of responsiveness. I think of active listening, attention to detail, professionalism, basic courtesy. It feels like you don't have to do very much to really stand out. And it makes me a little bit sad, to be honest. And it's a bit encouraging because people who are starting in their career might have a leg up by just hitting some of those basic human kindness kinds of things in their daily interaction. What do you think?
Well, just because you mentioned human, I guess we're going to be talking about AI all day, every day. But no, you weren't trying to goat me into that, Noah. I just know it. Yes, you earlier today were talking about this in the perspective of consulting, all right? And then we started listing all of these areas where we're not treated like humans. Never mind acting like a human, we're not treated like humans. And I was calling out the customer support and how I've recently engaged with customer support from airlines, from my mortgage company. And in all cases, they would do simple things like, oh, if we get disconnected, what's a number I can call you back on? And lo and behold, got connected, no call back, right? Sitting on hold for forever. Can I talk to a manager? Well, no, you can't talk to a manager. Just all of these customer servicey things that I would like to have, in just a human conversation, like, oh, did you note this on my account so the next time I call in? Oh, yes, absolutely. And you just think that I'd love to blame technology half the time, but I also, the way that I'm treated on these phone calls, I think there's a disconnect perhaps from the person who's speaking with you, and I'm sure a real person, and the technology that's backing them and the communication that unfortunately they're having with me probably is the lack or poor communication they have with the rest of the folks that are working behind the scenes to support me. So that's one. I feel frustrated right now, but also this giant relief off my shoulders to be able to talk about this, Noah. So thank you. Therapy session begin.
Yeah, it affects all of us. We've all gone through it. We were also talking about how it used to be that if you were the customer standing in line at the store, you were the person who was going to be helped first. And if the phone rang, a person might have grabbed the phone and said, please hold, and set it down so they could pay attention to the person who's standing right there in front of them and took the trouble to come down to the shop, because it was probably a shop back in the day.
It was a shop, brick and mortar.
And I don't know when it started happening, but a decade ago, more people would answer the phone and stay on the phone with a person, even though there were people in line at the place. It could happen anywhere. It could be a restaurant. It could be a postal annex or anything. So you had a really great point about why would they do that?
Yeah. The sun shines on a dog's ass every once in a while. And I had a good point.
Yes.
I was thinking about this. Let's say it is a restaurant. You order your takeout. You're there to pay. They get another call. All right, why did they take that call while pushing you off? I think it's basic business, right? This is new business coming in. I've already locked in your order. You're already going to pay me. You're actually physically here in front of me. I can deprioritize you, maybe not be the greatest customer service ever, but I'm still pulling in more business. So that's the bottom line. I could almost appreciate that to some extent. Like, I get it. But still, it hurts feelings. I know you're very hurt, Noah.
I am. Well, do you feel like people are trained to do that? Or is there some sort of instinct, a societal thing where, while the phone's ringing, I got to answer it and I got to talk to them, even though there's a person in front of me?
Yeah. My parents-in-law are living with me at the moment. They're in between houses. And I can assure you, my whole family can be watching a movie in the living room. My father-in-law on the couch. Second the phone rings, answers it on speaker. He's a loud person to begin with, but cranks up the speaker. And yes, he has to. There's a dog and a Pavlov, and I think that there's a reaction there. And he just has to answer it immediately because phones are phones. Text message a little bit differently. Maybe we'd have people text him more. That would be good. Maybe they should be texting when you're sitting in line at the restaurant. That would really solve a lot of business, for you, your business.
So you're inadvertently getting to one of the points I made earlier, which is on the other side of these poor customer service experiences, there's a marketing department trying to figure out the best way to keep things sticky. How do you retain your customers? What are the things you can do? Yeah. And you shared something about your father-in-law that is a perfect example of that. If you don't mind relaying that story one more time here.
Sure. Let me see if I can remember. Long time ago, this was yesterday, my father-in-law, again, in between houses. So he's canceling his Dish network at his current residency. They're in escrow, which is amazing. Can't wait. Good for them. So he's talking to the Dish network person. And, I'm in between houses. And of course, he takes this and talks everything about his life story to this person on the phone, who is really a salesperson, but ultimately his best friend now. Yes. So they're talking this through, and I'd like to cancel. So I'm hearing the conversation going, it sounds like it's going really great. But about 15 minutes later, he comes into the house. He says, "Oh my gosh, what a great deal. They've offered to pause my account free of charge for 3 months. And how about this? When I activate it again, I get a year's worth of internet for free. And the reason why I get this, I've been a customer for 28 years. And so he came out of this conversation when he had one objective. I've got to cancel this thing. And I don't know, I'm going to spin up the internet and get Netflix at my new place. But no, the person who was trained, right? How do we keep this person engaged, keep them sticky, pause the account? Of course, he'd forget about this, right? 3 months later, he's going to start being charged and probably wouldn't have a receiver anymore.
Right.
I think so. Is there customer service there? Maybe. Are they presenting value? Well, it's perceived value in my father-in-law's head, but it is that shady little stickiness that most places are able to take advantage of. That's why, Noah, and this is my service announcement here. You should always call your service companies like once a year and say, "Hey, I'm going to cancel." They're going to throw discounts, send chocolates your way, anything they can to keep you going.
Yep.
Do it.
Pause that account, a year free. It sounds great. I wonder if the marketing and sales teams who come up with these tactics, and a lot of them are used all across the industry. We hear these stories everywhere. When they get these calls, when the director of marketing for a company like Dish Networks makes a call to go cancel something else, does he sit there just in deep appreciation for the marketing genius on the other side? It's like,
maybe
I am going to take advantage of that.
Yes. Genius, stroke of genius. Probably. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, you hope
absolutely.
so, right? Or the
Yes.
person is living a lie,
Yeah.
and they don't understand that it goes both ways.
Yeah.
But
Oh, sorry. Go ahead because you said
oh
both
no,
ways.
this is
I
going to
know
be great.
where you're going with this.
We're going to be talking over each other in the podcast, and I'm going to derail us. But if you want to cancel this subscription to this podcast right now,
Yeah.
you can pause it, and I'll keep talking for another
Yeah.
year for free.
Yes. Should this be where we talk about Patreon?
Yeah. If you really want to support us, yeah. Well, I was going to share my story of the angriest I ever got at another human being, and while it ultimately isn't their fault, in a way, I still think of it as their fault. So this was with a company called Vonage, which was a thing many, many years ago. And I think we had a landline connected to our Wi-Fi from Vonage. And they send you the phone, you're on their plan, blah, blah, blah. We moved. We needed to cancel the account. And it was not unlike your father-in-law's Dish Network experience, but I was not going to fall for the trap. The problem is this person clearly had a script for every possible thing I could have said and what they should say next to try to keep me on the phone and to keep me as a Vonage subscriber. And at some point, it was clear pretty early that they were reading from a script. So I just said, I know you are a human being, and I know you are reading from a script. And I know that no matter what I say, you're going to try to read the next line from your script. I want you to know you have free choice. You do not have to read the script. I see you as a human being, and you are infuriating me right now. And I know you won't let me cancel my subscription until you get through your script. I'm telling you whatever I need to say to get you to the last line in your script so we can actually cancel this account. You need to do that right now, or this is going to get much, much worse for you. And at some point I was truly just yelling at the top of my lungs. It's like, no matter what she would read from her script, I'm just like, cancel my account, cancel it now. No more questions. Yeah, it was over the top. And it was, I think, an hour and a half that I was on the phone. Not kidding. This is the worst I've ever heard. In terms of how long it went on. And I talked to other people who had a similar experience with Vonage and, hour plus on the phone just trying to cancel the account.
Wow.
And I'm sure for all our listeners, how incredibly well Vonage is doing today as one of the top 5 brands. Oh, right. No, they don't exist anymore. Yeah. There you go. Fun story.
I had a situation. Hey, we're coming back to tech a little bit.
What?
I had a situation recently with Vercel. And so they have 2 primary product lines, right? One's the hosting, and then the other one is online dev. And I was using their VO services, but I subscribed to Vercel, like their main hosting service. So I look online and I'm like, oh great, how am I gonna cancel this and perhaps get a refund? Ended up finding the support link, and up comes this. It was a chat. It was really cool. So I said what was going on. It interpreted it just fine. It came back and it said, all right, we see this invoice in place, and do you want to talk about it? And yes, I selected one of the invoices and then said I really want to get a refund and cancel my subscription. So next response is, well, here's our reimbursement or our refund form. It pre-filled everything for me. I click a button and it's like, okay, we're going to be issuing your refund. It was the most miraculous thing and wonderful. No human involved whatsoever. Maybe that's part of the point. But its script to where you were going is let's just give customer service. It probably has part of its algorithm. It was $20. It's like, if this is less than a certain threshold, just please give them our money back. This is all, it's not going to cost us any more, any less. Like, we didn't lose anything. So give them money back, be a good customer, or be a good provider. So I just thought that was awesome. And then it just gave all the tools. Then you don't have to poke around for this form. Like, there it was. You don't have to poke around for that invoice number. There it is. Oh, that was awesome. Like, I want to buy services and cancel them from Bristol all the time now.
As long as you fit their algorithm. Well, we started the podcast by saying the bar is low. And
the bar is low.
It's a reasonable thing to expect that within a certain threshold, you should just be able to say, yeah, I need a refund. And it should just come back immediately and say, okay, no problem. Yeah. That's kind of the Costco policy, right? You can bring anything back to Costco. You might bring it back a year later. It might even be used, like a pair of jeans you washed, and you bring it back like, I don't want these anymore. And they're like, okay, no problem. Here you go. There's your money back, refunded to your credit card. And it becomes part of their reputation, part of their DNA. And I experienced this recently with the app I built. So I built an app for musicians and professional live sound engineers to, with a certain mixer they use for live sound, to be able to convert their files. And it's just a little desktop app I built. And I sell it online. It's not very expensive. But I had someone email me and say, hey, I saw that there was supposed to be a $10 discount code, but I couldn't find the place to enter it on the form. And in my mind, I'm like, well, how about the place that says enter it right here on the form? It's pretty clear to me, but I'm not going to berate the customer. Instead, I'm going to say, I've already applied the refund of $10, the discount you were looking for, to your account. For future reference, here's the form. Here's where you'd enter it if you ever need to buy it again. And it was just, I did it within 24 hours of getting the message. The refund was issued immediately. No questions asked. It's just like, yeah, of course. Just it's the right thing to do. And then he emailed me back. He's like, oh, thank you so much. Love the software. It's great. And that's it. I've got a happy customer who started out as a potentially unhappy customer because he didn't get the discount that he expected. It's easy to turn that around. The bar is low. That's the message.
So I love that you got your own product and you're speaking in those terms. How do you bring this into technology consulting? Like, what are some of you mentioned pillars earlier. What's an example? What's something that you always bring to the table?
We did this in the last day or two with a potential customer. We had a meeting. We were well prepared. We had reviewed all the materials they provided, which is great because I think this is why the bar is low conversation came up at all. This potential customer did a great job being responsive, providing clear detail, file references, a video just demonstrating what problem they were trying to solve. So it's pretty easy to step up and match that, do the thorough review, have some solutions ready to go, get on a meeting with them and present those things. We're listening carefully. We're offering a complete understanding of the problem before we're trying to force a solution, but we're giving them clear options. And then we developed, mostly you, developed a really great proposal that just clearly outlines everything we want to do. And we got that over to them today. So responsiveness, once again, attention to detail, like these are important things. We listened carefully to what they needed to say. We were careful to be professional, give them options. We're not trying to push a sale on them. We're thinking in terms of pricing it based on the real value that they're going to get from it. These are the pillars. These are the things that I think we hope make it so easy for this potential customer to be a paying customer because the bar is low. There's hopefully not other people who are just like, oh yeah, here you go. I already fixed the solution for you. And I'll do it for free for the rest of your life. So it's not quite that low, but I think we look good against others because of those basic pieces.
Yeah, I really love that. And it makes me think some of my conversations with engineers that are early career. And some of the advice I'd give them is control what you know you can control. So you can control being patient. You can control being a good listener. You can control being concise and really clear on any of your comments. You can be punctual. These are all these things that remove any friction when working with a potential customer. working with your colleagues, working with your family members who are moving. It's a really important thing when you get right down to it. And it isn't something that everybody does. And so, yes, it can differentiate you, but you also, I'm not sure if it's a differentiator. You hope that all of these things just fade into the background so everybody can really pay attention to what that value is that you're offering. I don't need to decipher what this random email says because they're speaking over me or around me. They're actually talking to me and making sure that I understand, right? You get rid of all that other stuff and I understand now. Yeah, there's these 3 options they offered. Here's the benefit. This is who would want to choose which options and where you'd want to ultimately decide if this investment is the right investment for you. So yeah, that's where just checking off all the boxes that you mentioned, Noah, make a lot of sense, whether it's in consulting or otherwise.
Well, and it used to be that one way to differentiate would be to do some research about the company if they were brand new to you. Do that legwork and come in armed with some knowledge that makes it very clear that you put the time in, you put the care in. That went a long way. And I think it still does go a long way. The difference now is, as long as you take the time to do it, you can type a few sentences into an online LLM and say, hey, I have a meeting with this company. Here's their URL. I want to be armed with some great relevant information. Here's the general idea about the project we're working on. It's for a financial services company, blah, blah, blah. And it'll give you a really structured summary and maybe some questions to bring to the meeting or things to point out. And it's incredibly low effort. And I still feel like people aren't even doing that. That there's some basics, and AI has made it so much easier. And they're still not taking the time to do it.
Yeah, and I don't think it's avoidance or not taking the time or not taking care. It's not something that everybody thinks to do.
Right.
There isn't necessarily this boilerplate, this blueprint that you're supposed to follow when you're engaging with clients. Right. Some of it comes from experience. Some comes from sitting on that call and say, oh, I really wish I knew what this company did.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, just silly things like that where you're like, wow, you go through the grinder and eventually you get there. But I am hoping that with this podcast, other references, people can start picking up on those little tips. So it does become part of their tool sets.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that's a great place to wrap it up here. The 22 minutes, the bar is low on how quickly we can get a podcast out the door too. So why don't we just do that?
Let's do it. Let's wrap it.
Cool. Thanks, Ben.